let's start. Here we are again. We got some new technology. No table in the shot this time.
Oh yeah, there is no table.
No direct shot on our faces necessarily. So.
Oh yeah, I miss that. That was a cool setup. But now we have cool, nifty little professional mics. You can walk around and go to the bathroom and
Still be recorded.
You hear me psyching myself up or whatever.
I got some weed I grew on my other channel. Maybe we just start off with this as the headband plant I grew.
The headband, nice.
And so I feel like my viewers, you know, they're gonna suspect me being like, oh yeah, all my weed is dank or whatever, you know. So I'm not gonna do a self-review, but we're gonna smoke some of this headband while we do this channel. And then we will get maybe an honest review at the end, like, you know, that you can tell you're actually really stoned and that might do nothing grow with no nutrients and not knowing all these things that my commenters say I grow bad weed because I don't know how to do what they do. Let's see if they're right or if my weed is good after all.
Yeah, well, I mean, even before we review yours or anything, there obviously are things you can do to it, you know what I mean? Anything from the soil to nutrients and what have you. I worked at a dispensary. There's, you know, immensely high quality flower. But the overall point of your project, I guess I would call it, was that. It was a effortless grow, right? There was no effort. You really just, you know, put them out there. They're like flower pots. I mean, I've seen them. I don't know what you'd call that.
Yeah, just like some felt pots. I don't know what they're called either.
But it's really just nature at work. It's just whatever the seeds you germinated them, right?
But no. I got clones at a dispensary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But either way, it was just like an all natural. Like if they went bad, it went bad. If it didn't,
yeah, it was basically
didn't do anything.
The gist was to show anyone, you know, kind of like a breakdown of like what the bare minimum gets you, you know.
Yeah.
And is it swag? Is it even worth your while? You know.
It's been seedless so far, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, last year's grow, I did end up with a couple seeds, and I think one of my plants started hermaphrodite a little bit, but I didn't even know that's what was happening.
Okay.
So, and I smoked that weed anyway a little bit because I was just like, fuck it, I gotta find out. I didn't know that it was even hermed. I just thought, I didn't know what had gone wrong with it. But I still find it to be very good weed, and we can smoke some of that another time and see how you feel about it.
I liked the purple wine, which was some of that backdoor grow. I liked it. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. The overall point, you know, because people start arguing, well, I could grow better. Yeah, maybe you could. You could. I mean, it's not even really. Yeah, you could. But can you just? I guess you got clones. You said just put it out there in the back and let nature take its course and have it still come out good. I'd say the purple Hawaiian was a good.
This one was the headband.
Just see that lighter real fast. A good contender because I tried the purple Hawaiian and I liked it a lot. From the backyard.
Hell yeah. So, cool. Well, let's just get into the other thing while we smoke this. I don't know. Maybe I'll just put up duplicate content or cut it a different way. You know, like a little setup for this. Runs full on my one channel. I just got back from tour, and I kind of wanted to do some talking about that out loud. So,
yeah, how'd that go?
So I'll just, you know, go ahead and interrupt me whenever you feel like, but I'm just going to break down kind of, I'm just going to keep going, you know, I'm going to talk a lot.
Go ahead. I want to know.
Interrupt me when you want.
Don't be some, but I want to hear them. Yeah, let's go.
So all the guys through and through, like when we went out, the first show was a little weird because you want to be, well, you don't know what you're getting into ever, but now you don't know what you're getting into for the first time. You know what I mean? It's like showing up to the first open mic when you've never been to one before or something. Not even to perform necessarily, just like Republic, Ming Lounge, sounds good in 3 words, but like that doesn't describe what you're showing up to when you're walking by homeless people and a guy smoking crack. And
It's true. It's true. Puddles of piss and
Yeah, the bathrooms don't work.
the bath. At first, you're surprised that there's puddles of piss outside until you realize that the bathrooms don't work.
So, basically, the first city we show up, we get to our Airbnb, and it's tight. It's like a nice, like, normal bungalow house, like, you know, like you would expect if you went over to visit somebody's, like, aunt or something that was a respectable citizen, you know, had fucking furniture, stuff on the walls, beds, like, nice, you know, not like fucking ultra nice silk fucking sheets or anything, but just like, it was an appropriate house. And here's what was weird about that one. And we can dive deeper into any of this now or later, or never. But at this particular Airbnb, the two people who lived there went out to sleep in the garage while they rented out their house for the night.
It's an interesting dynamic.
So, like, we're there, out smoking on the back porch. Out opens up the garage, and she's like, "Oh, hey, you're here. Good to see you guys. I'm glad you made it." And we're like, you know, whatever. It was good. She liked us all. There was nothing weird about it. But we're texting with the booker because we've got to our destination now. We, like, right when we got there, me and Ryan took out all of our fucking video gear, our audio gear. We just, like, laid everything out on the floor, and we're like, this is what each other has for this trip.
Okay.
So just get it in your mind, like, you know, oh, you've got that extra thing we can use. So we're not constantly asking each other, like, you know, endlessly, like, what's in your mystery box. It's like, here's what we have.
Magic murder bag.
We tested these lav mics, and we got, like, all our setup. I'm texting with the booker, and he's like, hey, I leave work in an hour, and then it takes me an hour to get there. So, well, I go, okay. So I text him, whatever, an hour and a half later. And you got an ETA? And he's like, I'm about to leave work. But so I'm like, okay, just text me when you get to the venue. We're 5 minutes away.
Okay.
He's like, cool. So time goes by, and we're, like, out smoking, talking, whatever. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like he should have called us by now. We should just go over there. The first act had already started.
Okay.
He still hadn't texted us. He's like, oh, I just forgot. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then he, like, kept talking to us while the first performer was going, which it's our first time, so we want to be, like, on our best behavior. Like, does that mean we have to, like, listen to the booker because we haven't met him before, we want to make this personal connection? Or does that mean we want to listen to the act because we're performers and we want to respect the performers? You don't want to show the audience that it's okay to disrespect and to talk right now, because then everybody will do it.
Yeah.
So that was we were, like, a little bit on edge. Okay, also this venue, it's fucking more than worth noting, this is most of the stories, these venues, it's called Shotsky's Woodfire Eats.
Okay.
But it's a pizza place.
What the fuck? It sounds like they serve barbecue.
But it's a gay bar. But they have an arcade, and there's a bunch of kids in there.
What? Kids?
And they have this big-ass stage.
This was at night, right?
Yeah, they have this big-ass stage. My cat's just running in because the camera's in the doorway, so we can't close it. Her girl. So, but the stage is awesome. It's got this big-ass, like, riser stage for the drummer to sit up on. And it feels empty because it's so big, and there's, like, booths all around, like, the outskirt, but, like, in the big open area where you would want, like, your fans to be, there was no one. And then everybody was just sitting at their booths eating pizza, basically, and drinking their drinks and whatever. It's not that uncommon, right? But the first act was a singer-songwriter, and solo. So it isn't really a perfect match for, like, when you go into looking for, like, a rock show atmosphere.
Right.
And the closer did, like, he played, like, a spoken word thing and then, like, played weird noise over it. But not in a way that was... It felt like there wasn't anything to it, and he only performed for 7 minutes. So all in all, the show was like, how do you feel about it? I don't know. Like, you're playing out. It's this weird-ass place that it's kind of, you don't know what to make of it.
Sounds
But
interesting.
the guys were excited. They went up and performed anyway. And after they performed, we met the owner of the place. And he came out and he gave us his card. He's like, if you guys want to tour some more, I'm in like a network of like 16 or 22 venues.
That's awesome.
And I can help you guys book a bigger tour. So all of a sudden, you're playing like a show that's kind of like lackluster. It doesn't fit your like ideal of like the perfect rock club and your raving fans and such.
Yeah.
But it just led to like a huge, possibly huge break.
Yeah.
Not break, and they're going to be on MTV2 tomorrow, but like it just took us a lot of energy to book 13 shows. Now this guy's saying like, let me just do 16 for you.
Yeah. No, I like that though. That, you just kind of go, you play your best and make those connections.
Yep. And we met. Everybody was nice. I'm not shit talking any particular person. The singer solo performer, Katie in the Knoll sets, I thought she was pretty good. I talked to her after. I talked to her about possibly getting up to Portland because I know a lot of people up here, girls that do, I'm not saying her thing, but a solo singer-songwriter performance by,
Right.
There's some really talented people around this, town who put on shows. So I told her I could hook her up with that maybe. And she was telling us like, hey, when you come to Salem, don't play this place. She's like, you want to play, I can't remember the name of the place, the Secret, or began with an S, whatever it was. We'll look into it. I'll see it when I recognize it.
Right.
Or I'll recognize it when I see it. So that was awesome. And then the other guy I met, the guy who headlined and only played 7 minutes. So my point was that the show was kind of like poorly curated.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't, it's the booker's responsibility, but I'm not saying I blame him or I'm mad at him or anything. He hooked us up with a really good show. It just, some of them end up like this. And I would work with him again, and I'm going to talk to him. And we made $106 on that show.
Nice.
Which was like, yeah, that was more than they made at the No Fun show.
That's awesome. That's
So,
more than I've made.
Right. Well, anyway, so that was good. So the guy, the headliner, played with Dave from Louisville.
Really?
The next night.
What? For reals?
Yeah. He was up here playing with those guys. What are they called? The Dead Air Fresheners.
Is that the name of it? That progressive band or whatever?
That's Dave's band, Dead Air Fresheners.
Huh.
And the band the one guy's name is Mini Mutations.
Mini Mutation.
But I went outside to smoke, and then I came in and it was over. So I didn't even get to catch it. I had to watch like the video later. So I didn't even get I didn't get it, I guess. I didn't get to witness it.
Yeah.
But so overall, like there's bad shows. I wouldn't even consider that a bad one, but when like talking to the guys in retrospect, that was one that they didn't feel so great about.
Okay.
And because they're like, there wasn't a lot of people there, they were all in the back, yada yada. So I get that. It didn't feel good to perform or something. It'd be like doing an open mic and like no one's paying attention, or doing a show and no one's paying attention and everybody's over there,
Yeah,
but
I
you
know
just
what
go
that's
up and
like.
do it.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But then everybody's like, yeah, we love you, and you get paid, and they want to like help you book it. So you like, it's kind of like mixed feelings, right? It wasn't your best time on stage, maybe necessarily, but the gig itself was more important. Just do it.
That is an important focus, though, because like you said, there's people in booths, there's people there, got paid, you got connections to other shows.
Yeah, and there was another guy, too, who was at the bar who was like, I do put on shows here. My band used to play here once a month, but we've stopped doing it for like 6 or 8 months or something like that, and we want to come and do another one. We get a crowd. We have a party here. and I want you guys to come down and play with us.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, Salem's an hour away or less. So we don't even have to make it a tour to hook up that show. That's just could be a one night show,
Right.
back and forth, an hour away. It's nothing. We were driving sometimes, you know, people go on tour, they drive an hour at the end of the night anyway,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Sure.
it's not that big of a deal. And so that's another potential paid gig. So anyway, but the guys' spirits stayed high throughout everything. There was no point where they're like, we don't want to be playing this show or like anything like that. It was always like we knew our 2 weeks was going to be the adventure, that there was going to be highs and lows throughout it, and that we needed, and like there was like, I'm not saying we were level the whole way through, but there was like a composure we kept the whole way through. Like,
That's good.
we need to be, we're not going to let anything get ahead of us in any given day.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, I like a Motor Code. I've met them. They're really nice guys. Determined. Alex is really cool. He's the one that plays with his teeth, right?
Yeah.
He plays with his teeth.
He played with his teeth a lot on tour. I was starting to
My
get
teeth
worried.
hurt.
I know. I'm like, man, I don't want you to chip a tooth.
I worry. I worry. I've seen it. No, they're good. They're good. I like it. I like how he gets in the audience, gets really involved, gets up. Like on the movie that was specific to that
No?
bar, but he got up on it. Like, it was cool. It was really, really cool.
He moves around. He has like this really long, he brought this really long like bass cord. And so when we were in Nevada City playing with My Dallas Teens, like most of the people went out to the patio and smoked. He just took his bass all the way out to the patio and just started like playing in their face, like right out there. Everybody's like, what? And then all of a sudden you look back and everybody's like looking through the window to watch the rest of the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. My Dallas Teens, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're fun to hang out with. Yeah, well, I mean, then the next show we went to Ashland. That show sucked. Like, they played to like no one, maybe like 2 or 3 people
I've done that too.
in this little bar, like the size of this room we're shooting in. They were up. Their whole stage was up in the window.
Yeah.
And it was in this town, Ashland, and like, I don't know, there's just like no young people there or something.
Huh.
So it was like all these like geezers and shit walking by, look in the window, walk on by. And then so they made, the bar didn't pay them. He said they could put out a tip jar, and they made $3.
Wow.
But they gave them a $60 tab for food and drinks. So it's like, it's, you know, it's not like they didn't try. It's just, they can play better shows than that.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks, because I was going to say we were just at one, I posted it online, but we was in Aloha, but it was...
Oh yeah, how did that go?
Well, there was shit tons of people, there's tons of people, but it was a small thing, we weren't even supposed to play, because I was under the impression there was like a thing going on, so I drive out there, you guys don't know, it's far away, so I drive out there, and there's nobody. First of all, I'm the first one there, there's no sign that anything is happening, and I feel that I drove there for nothing. Then this guy comes, and I thought he was a comedian. He's a real nice guy. He goes, "Oh, you're a comedian, blah, blah, blah." We're talking, having fun. JT shows up. I think he was the only other person. George got in a car accident. You know, like a fender bender. He's fine, but that happened. So this guy was playing. He was just singing covers or whatever, but he was killing it. And there was a lot of people, like a significant crowd. But it was similar to what you were saying, because it was a really small place, you know, up in the corner. And when we went to get on, because I'm...
So are you gonna do that Aloha mic again?
I don't know. I've had mixed feelings about it. It was full of people. I got some solid laughs. We both did. JT did great. Because, you know, he's not fond of some of the downtown mics. They don't really react to, you know, I'm not saying he doesn't get laughs, but they don't react. We talk about it. He's not always pleased. He did well. He did really well. I could see why he liked it. I mean, the people... It was good. It wasn't, like I said a moment ago, it was kind of awkward, but it wasn't. I mean, they were at least open to whatever. JT did his bits and it landed better. Maybe it's because there was more family type people there. Whatever the crowd was, they loved what he was doing. And when I did mine, I mean, I don't know, I guess I got laughs too. I like to be self-critical and think I probably did terrible every time, but everybody, like you said, everybody was like, no, that was great, that was funny. But I could see like people would like turn their backs looking at the thing, and you catch their attention, you know what I mean? I say something outrageous and they're just like, what? They fucking turn around and they're like, what?
Yeah, so they're like kind of listening, but they're not like at a comedy show, so they're not fully engaged.
Well, you gotta catch their attention, like I said.
Right.
And once you do catch their attention, then they're engaged, because they're like, did he just fucking say that? Did he just fucking say that? And you're just like, it's about to get worse. I don't know if I'll drive all the way out there, you know what I mean? These are unpaid open mics. It's different. You guys might go to Salem and make $100. I went to Beaverton and made nothing. I got a beer out of it.
That's pretty good.
I got a beer and a shot.
I mean, we didn't make $100 though. We took 2 vehicles down there. There was 5 of us. We rented an Airbnb that was probably $109. We all had to eat, you know.
Yeah.
We weren't balling for doing it.
It's different. You guys are musicians. You got to quit, but I just have to take myself.
Yeah.
I just had to take myself. I didn't have to sleep. I don't know if I'll drive out there. It's still kind of...
You like the downtown mics.
Well, downtown, it's just, that's where the scene is at. It's downtown. There's a lot of the mics. The Brody's closing, but that used to be my shit. I call myself a Brody boy. It's how I met JT. JT was like, oh, I'm a Harvey's guy. And I was like, Harvey's? That's awesome. I was like, I fucking go to the Brody, like, all the time. That's where I go. I'd go alone. I'd fucking go. I never used to even hang out with, like, George and anybody. I'd go by myself. I mean, I'd go around to other mics, but I loved that place. Now it's going out of business. There's still other ones, though. I mean, it's going, not just downtown, it's going. Like, the Haymaker is really amazing, and that's in, what, Northeast Portland, I believe?
I haven't been there.
Alberta's still going, at the Alberta Street Pub. I've had a few good nights. I've had some of my best nights there, and those aren't on tape. For better or worse. Like, I think it's a bad thing, and I think it's a good thing. It's bad because I don't have them on tape, and it's good because that's kind of how live performances should be. I don't have it, not even for posterity. Like, I went up, performed, people laughed. Some of the best reactions I've ever got, like, undeniably did well. But it's for that moment. It was for the people watching it. It was for me. It was that moment to be lived. I think you taught me something like that. You know, you had that one experience to have it, and then you get to just move on and do other stuff but yeah, no, there's a lot of good mics going on. Downtown's just obviously closer. It's not, like I said, there's Northeast Portland and some other ones, and it's scattered as some of the mics might be. They all seem to be pretty, you know what I mean, localized around there. Northeast, downtown. I don't think there's any in Southeast or anything like that. So I don't know that I enjoy driving.
George, what's his name's mics in Southeast? Jack's.
That's officially Southeast?
Yeah. South of Burnside.
All right, then you're right. Then there are the other ones, because I guess Helium's over that way, but I haven't...
Helium's Southeast,
I worked my way up. I haven't even done an open mic there. Well, then I should get my directions correct first. But I'm still saying, to me, that's all still downtown. I mean, Jack's mic, that's over the bridge. Literally from, you know what I mean, Brody and Voodoo Donuts, pop over the bridge and you're at my father's place in Jack's.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that. I'm in Southeast, like, over here. I'm in Southeast, like, down the street from your house, like 82nd Avenue and the Walmart, you know what I mean? To me, that's Southeast Portland, and there's nothing going on there except junkies shooting up and crystal meth smoking. Like,
no, you just need to find more Portland, dude. There's good open mic, probably in Foster Powell.
Really?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. Look at PDX stand-up list or whatever.
I don't know if there is over there by Foster Powell.
Super Deluxe.
Yeah. Strip clubs. But, yeah, anyways. Beaverton, whatever. It's far out there. I mean, it's kind of far for not a lot.
Just to perform. Yeah. What about, did George was there? He said he got in a car accident.
He said he got in a fender bender.
So he didn't make it.
Yeah. He's the one who told me about it. He's like, flat out, you missed out. He's like, there's a lot of people. When there's this weird schism, it's like the opposite of, obviously, like, you know, the band Motor Coat, they want to perform, they're booking shows, but like a lot of people or comedians that I've talked to, they outright say they don't want to Dude, you and me talked about this the other day. It's not on camera, but like, what do they do it for? The passion, the art, you know what I mean? The thrill. I mean, because I've talked to people and they have no desire to be on camera or TV or in front of an audience. It's not even a thing that they want to do. And so,
Or in front of an audience.
yeah, no, they don't. They don't want human beings or like regular people to see the shows. Like George has had talks about it. There's been like arguments and whatever. Like George was the one having this particular conversation, so I'm kind of telling you what happened. But they were saying that George was saying, look, PDX stand up. It's a blog. It's a thing. It's how people find shows. It's how I found my father's place, and that's the first place I ever performed. He's like, more people should know about it. Audience members, regular people should know, so audience members could come. So they were talking about, I think, marketing it, or it was a conversation about why don't we, get people here? People need to come to these shows, and the answer back was, we don't want that. We don't want it. We don't want it. It's for comedians. It's only for comedians. It's us.
Open mics.
Yeah, it's open mics for this.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
So, and that's cool, but like, I still love open mic, amateur, whatever you call it. I love doing that in front of just regular people that don't perform. Those are the reactions you want. Those are the people that are going to watch a show or not going to watch a show or buy a DVD or not buy it. Those are the people that matter versus this, like I said, this parallel.
But like, you don't sell DVDs at open mic.
I
open
don't.
mic's like the writer's room or something. And then you go out and do the gig.
Yeah, but like, and again, being like George, we're talking about it, it's just like, it's a false sense of, if all you do is perform at open mics as a comedian, you're not really getting if your jokes work. You're getting if it landed with these guys that are competing with you.
You got to take it out to the people.
Don't like you, and they're just, it's not the right atmosphere to actually test a joke. That's an absurdity. It's an absurd thing for anybody to say. We come to our open mics where we're all rude to each other, or we're just rude to you, and this is where we work. This is our gym. This is where we're working out. These fucking people, and they're like, oh, well, people didn't laugh at my joke. People here don't fucking like you. People here don't like anybody. They're all like really negative. You'd think they're the happiest people in the world. They're not. And so you go to a show like the one I went at, like I said, it was just a long drive, but you get out there, and it's a bunch of people. They're drinking beers. They're enjoying their life. They're not even performers. You can pretty much assume none of them perform in any capacity. They're there to see this guy who's covering songs. He's covering songs. Not that he did anything bad.
Right.
He's covering songs.
But you're making your own point here.
There's like 30 people there, and why? To me, that's the workout. I got up and was like, hey, what's up, guys? Da-da. People had their backs turned to me, and by the end of it, they're looking at me. They're laughing. They're looking. That's why I said you get their attention. They're not staring away. They're not ignoring you anymore. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
But you have to work that room. You can't. You can with a room full of comedians, but it's harder in that sense. Like, I've said it before. I've performed in front of 5 people, and I'm pretty fucking sure all 5 of them hate me. And I know I did good because they all laughed, and it made me feel good. Maybe they don't hate me. Maybe that's something in my mind, Kurt Cobain-ish. But I'm pretty sure everybody hates me. So when I go to a room full of complete and total strangers that have no reason to do anything other, they're minding their business, and you captivate them, you get their attention, they're listening, they're talking to you after the show, they're adding you online and shit, that means something. I think it means more than performing the same set 6 times in front of the same people.
Okay, I agree. But here's where you lose me, is you started this with, you started this with, we need to promote the open mics.
Yeah, George was saying that.
Okay, but that's where the miss is because people, you said it before, those people that came out didn't come out because they saw a flyer that said, come watch these comedians.
That's right.
You got completely different people than people who followed that line in. When you say, come watch these comedians, you either get, okay, if you just say this is an open mic, everybody can perform, what you get is people who come because they want to perform. And then the rest of it, the rest of the externalities around that are individual to each place and each person and such. But that's who comes. So I linked you this morning to somebody who was doing something that was interesting. It was fucking hey, let's take 5 people. I mean, I didn't look at who the comedians are, but guess what? I don't know who they are. I could have read their names. I would still had to look them up because I don't know who any comedians in town are really. And same thing with bands that come through that I see. I don't know who they are. I have to be drawn for some reason to go see them. So these comedians put on a thing where it was, we're going to do our 5 minutes, and then we're going to have our moms on the monitor behind us comment on our set. And now, without knowing them, I already know that the premise is good enough that, like, if I were on a date that night, or if I was in town staying at the fucking hotel across the street from Kelly's Olympian, or I just wanted to, like, I fucking just see it come along Facebook and I'm looking for something to do that night, that's something I might go out and pay $7 and have a 2-drink minimum for or something, without the name power of traveling comedian who I know from TV and his podcast.
Fair enough. No, that makes sense because, like you said, they weren't even looking for anything like that. And I was kind of saying a mixed answer there because I was saying that I like mics out this way, which I do. It's where they all are. But I also I like that experience.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing. You're like, I like them, but I hate. But then you just go on to say that you hate them, and then you're like, I didn't like that one, but it was so good, and it's so unlike the other one.
I noticed I pointed it out, but I don't hate them. I love like Jax. I always get it's just.
I don't know that you hate them, but you know that it's you're doing it just kind of like in your friends in that like circle of like the gym. Whereas the other thing wasn't the gym.
Yeah, being in front of like actual people though is I guess what I was gonna say because I could relate to the band how they were like, oh, there aren't people standing out in the middle where we want them to. They're not people, jumping around. The fact that they're in the booths enjoying it and they don't say anything, it almost comes across still like nobody watched from the band's perspective or something like that. And I still get that because it's like it doesn't matter. So like I said, I've done a room with 5 people and I flat the fuck out think that they don't like me, period. They all laughed. And to me, that was like a huge victory. But I still was like, be so much better with people. Like you said, though, it's hard to get, I think, people to comedy shows because those people were there to see music.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that it's hard, dude. If you want to see how to get people to comedy shows, go look at the comedy clubs around town. Follow them for 90 days.
I don't run shows. I was just saying.
For sure. If anybody has a question on how to get people to a comedy show, look at the comedy venues in your town every single night for 90 days and track how many people came. You can just do this on their Facebook events for the most part, or there might be some other way. You may be able to track like sold out shows and such, but if you just watch, you'll see they have fucking 6 days out of 7 dead air or whatever. Not dead, but like they're probably losing money as a business on those days. But then they'll have one dope show or where the comedians get high and come back and tell their stories. Or they'll have a touring guy come through who's big and sells $25 tickets and they can make money on that. Or you know what I mean? They'll just have they'll have their surges. And you'll see the things that work and the things that are not working. Because people try a lot of shit. People have thoughts and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. But when you go out there and you test it against what's the fucking people are really going to respond to, 99% of like what's going on in here versus how the world works isn't true. But every so often, somebody taps into it. Like the parents thing. It's pretty fucking it's obvious. I don't know if those people came up with it or they're borrowing it because they saw somebody in New York or San Francisco or LA doing it, That's the other thing. Like, you don't want to just copy some other show's idea or something. So I fucking text George. I'm like, hey, I sent you that link. I'd have the same conversation with George about marketing shows. Say, if you want to market a show, you have to market it to a fucking audience. You can't just say, come look at me. You have to, like, make that, you got to show them where the twist is or something, Makes sense. Make it something they want to come to. So here's an example, George. I fucking link it to him. I tell him, hey, man, check this out. He goes, oh, well, my mother doesn't live in this state. Talk about missing the point. I just didn't even respond.
Yeah, the point is, yeah, I get it. It has to be more. That's cool. That's something to consider too. That actually makes sense. Because you sent me the link and I was just like, oh, we could go. It's really all I thought. I was like, we could go to that. That seems funny. Like you just said. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Excuse me. Because there was a comedian. He was funny. I talked to him online, but he would bring his parents, and I honestly did wonder. I was like, what do they think about him? Because they seem just like normal, nice people, and people like me say some really outrageous shit. So I was just like, yeah, I do wonder what his parents would think. And they seem like really cool people. I talked to him online. He moved. Makes sense though. It actually gives me stuff to think about. Just how you put that. Yeah, because you sent me the link, and I wasn't like, "Hey, let's run a show." I was just like, "Yeah, that sounds funny. I could go to that."
Yeah. No, but like, right. Some things you look at and say, "Hey, that's funny. I could go to," and some things you look at and you're like, "What the fuck? Why would I go to that?" You know what I mean? Or like, I'm not saying on that, but there's weird ass shit that people try to put together that would be like, okay, you could just completely miss and have it be like, oh, okay, how about my comedian friends come up and discuss my set or something, and it's like people who aren't comedians don't want to see that. Everybody can relate to like the judgment of their parent or like going out on a limb trying to like test their how far they want, whatever. Even if it's just a pure clean talent show, like to have your mother immediately be the commenter the first person who gets to say something to you that night and put something in everybody's head, like how the mother sees it, like you already know that's a human dynamic that everybody like intrinsically just gets.
Yeah.
How popular that's going to be, I don't know, but there were like 80 people on it. Then I get an invite from Jack Bartholomew and it's like 0 of 0. Would you like to click in? And it just says underground comedy, nothing.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, people look at it, they're either going to make that distinction right then, like, that's something I could go to, or, what the fuck is this? I'm confused, I don't like to be confused, I'm going to do something that feels good again.
Yeah. That's cool. That makes sense. I like that.
So, and then that kind of goes along with kind of similarly what I was doing with Motorcoat, trying to like get them into other channels. Oh, which brings us directly to comedian tour. You want to have a fresh bunch of faces every night. You go to a different city. Whether they're comedians or not, they're still seeing you for the first time, and they have all of their... You walk into another open mic where they have all their existing relationship issues, and you're the stranger. Think of when the like touring comedians come through your mics. Everybody gives them kind of like some special attention. These guys are from LA. They came all the way here. He was pretty funny. I better go say hey to him. All right, never see you again, or maybe I will next year, or but you're not going to see him 3 times a week doing the same jokes and making these judgments about them like they're still working on this shit. I haven't laughed at this one time, man, or who knows, or what people's head, what in the heads. I'm not a comedian, so I don't know how they like judge each other, but like, you can't just help but do it as a human if you're both trying to do the same job. Like, look at what they're doing, because that's informing you about what you're doing. Like you, the difference. You're like, that's this kind of comedian. I'm this kind of comedian. I would have went this way with the joke, Yeah.
Makes sense though. Themes are important.
Oh, right. Like if you watch any TV show, they could say, why don't we just run commercials? The idiots will stare at it if we just fucking, change the colors every few seconds. But they're like, no, we'll make it like a game show, and then we'll let the fucking comedians come on here and goof on this shit, or like make jokes at the...
Yeah.
Or they'll... You know what I mean? Or...
Change the colors. makes me laugh because of all the videos on YouTube like that. It's just like, I don't know, music with colors changing or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's good enough. So, same thing with Facebook ads now. So here's basically the premise is you make a video that is specifically known that it's going to be seen through the Facebook timeline, basically. So you're like talking, you know, either directly to the person or you're making the content for that person, knowing that that person is scrolling through Facebook who's going to watch it, right? So as opposed to, hey, just put up my open mic video from last night that's like fucking 10 miles away and the audio's bad or whatever. Like, you know, the person who's scrolling through that, who's like a breath away from being on like the highest produced content of all time, directly their most interesting thing. Like for you, what was the game that you play? Soul Slayer or something? What's it called?
Dark Souls?
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, watch this thing that you don't understand what it is because I want you to, and it's like annoying, you don't get it, you don't even know what's going on, and you're like, I could just click this button and watch Dark Souls right now. How long am I going to stay tuned? Like, the most part, people who don't even understand you at all, like if you're just putting that out to strangers, you're just fucking flyering out on the streets, like, watch this shit, watch this shit, watch this shit. Most of them are going to be like, fuck you, don't even care, same thing. You're just scrolling on your phone. You're looking for something that actually interests you. And you're just scrolling by just like tons of shit. You're just like... Think about all the things that you don't read that come through your periphery every day. You're like, wow. Things you choose not even to like click on, or even sites you choose not even to go to, and all this shit, right? So you make the content for specifically, okay, if it's not Facebook, then it's Instagram stories, right? You know that you're going to make your content for the viewer of Instagram stories. One guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's like a online media motivational guru, and he makes really good commercials and shit. He's banking. He's a genius. And his thing is, he tells people, he's like, it doesn't even matter what you do. You want to be in comedy? Okay, start a comedy show on Instagram. Every day, go out on the street with your phone on Instagram or Instagram Live and make some videos with some people. Like, do some man on the street, you know, stuff that we kind of already talked about. Do some man on the street. He goes, okay, here's an idea. Call your channel Odd Corner. You go, on day one, you stand out on 3rd Street, on the corner of 3rd Street, and you interview the first person who comes across. And then next day you move to 5th Street, and then 7th Street, Odd Corner. Every day you're on a different street. And then that's just your show. But it's just a basic premise that's like, okay, it makes the person think like, oh, okay, I get it. I can start to understand what that is. And then maybe they start watching a little longer. Versus just, hey, I'm sitting in my room. Remember that guy we watched when we were looking at videos early? He's like, this is my vlog. I've been watching Netflix all day.
I do remember. It's interesting.
Yeah. So, anyway, so then you put a little bit of money behind it, and you pay Facebook essentially to put it out there. And then, so I've kind of done some just basic testing, and with the Facebook targeting, if we were to be talking about something specific, I wish I just had a few examples, like if we could talk about these 5 things, but it can almost be anything specific, and then you kind of like target that towards the people who Facebook kind of have pegged as interested in that subject or whatever. You start to get your personality out into the world. You start to make fans that way in some sense. And so if you start a podcast, you know, and you get all these clips out there about things you're talking about, And then you kind of have just kind of a central, you know, like podcast that all ties together. But what you're basically doing in the world is just promoting yourself, developing what you want to be doing, right? So if you want to be doing, you're developing your comedy, and and when I say you're promoting yourself, it's like you're getting into people's heads in different ways. Like, oh, some people listen to your podcast. Oh, some people just know you from like, because if you make enough of these little clips, right? Dark Souls, okay, maybe one day, open mics in Portland, maybe another day, commenting on Jason's weed another day. You start putting yourself out there in all these little different ways, right?
Yeah.
Some of them 1 view, some of them 17 views. Someday one of them 100,000 views. Like it's not if you make 4 of them will it be 100,000. No, it's like if you make a couple hundred of them, you're going to get a little bit better at it along the way. You're going to get a little dialed in on how it's all going. You get a better grasp on what's actually happening. And it's still dumb luck to that point. Like, it still has to, like, catch the world at the right time. It still has to be interesting to the right amount of people. But the truth is that it does happen a lot. Because it's just like... It's just that one time where your words capture the fucking, like, public, whatever the public's opinion or whatever. You just nail it. Like, the public consciousness in that moment, enough people can relate to it the exact way that you've said it. And it comes unintentionally a lot of times. Boom, 100,000 views for some reason. And then you've got an opportunity because a couple people start reaching out to you. Do you take those deals? You might not. But you start to like meet people and you go, oh, I just met with the person whose job description was this. Google, what is this job description? Oh, look up all the agencies that would hire such a person. Start to get a better grasp on like now, you know, what kind of people are interested in you. I don't know. Like it's a weird game. This whole like talent, audience, touring, influence, like whatever this all ends up yielding. I mean, some people just say fame, but fame isn't the right thing, I don't think.
Yeah.
You end up with like people just know who you are. I don't know if people say famous, but like it's because of all of the other little things, right? It's because they know the podcast that you're famous.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I saw him. I was doing that weed thing, and I saw him do the weed thing, and then I saw him at an open mic, and then I saw he did a tour, and then all of a sudden people are, you know, oh, I know that guy. I don't know. I mean, you have to start to hear about people a few times, and then you say, oh, I know that guy. And so, like, public relations, I guess, is what it's called. Public relations.
Yeah.
PR.
I'm super stoned now, actually, just since you asked me to mention it. And that's cool, though. I learned a lot. I hope people learned a lot, because that's definitely a lot of stuff I wouldn't have thought of or considered before.
So, would you like to talk about the headband I grew? Do you think maybe other people should just go buy their weed at the grocery store, or maybe just buy that $15 plant from...
I'm super fucking stoned. I left my weed in the car.
So you know where I bought this plant?
Where?
Be Wellness.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Be Wonderful Wellness.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like it. Like I said, I came from the gym. I don't think I smoked any weed. I think I may have just left it all in my car. Feel pretty high off of that one joint that we shared. Sudden sense of not being able to think of anything to say.
Okay.
That's cool though.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll turn off the camera then if we're out of words.